With a message for my people.
Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah. Now this the black sheep sticking it to him. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it.
In hand, just understand my
Pockets that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do. When they can't compete and I got
Back.
nothing to lose. You
Back
say
in the
it's only
building,
I'm the
Veterans
one that's
Minimum, the
gonna
number one
benefit.
sports betting vibe on the fucking planet. Nick Dayes here, your host, at Nick Dayes, 10 as you can find me. All things Veterans Minimum or at Veterans Minimum. My dog, you got shorts on, got the hairs pumping out.
Yeah.
Summer.
I mean, the knees are out.
Let's go.
You know, I had to let the people know that I've been working out the lower half. Now that, work for me has slowed down a bit.
Okay.
I've been able to hit the gym, focus on the quads, okay? Ass to grass squats. Felt the pain in my back I've never felt before. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
It was tight, but I fought through it. I realized today is the day that I'm
Became a real boy today.
stepping up.
Let's go.
I'm stepping up.
Let's go. And another man in the studio,
Yes. Also
Brent.
fit.
also fit, been getting after it. You can see him on Fox Sports Radio, live on the line, VSiN. Most importantly, probably to him, Jackpot's dad, our guy, Jared Smith.
What's up, guys?
Also sporting.
What is up?
Yeah, I'm going shorts today too.
Going
I like
shorts.
It's too. I'll be honest. It's too hot, man. It's too hot to wear jeans.
Yeah,
it's
we're-
too hot.
It's
We're setting
rough.
records.
It's been oppressive,
Yeah.
and plus the legs look good, so might as well show them off, right?
Now, let me ask you. You're a fucking perfect person to ask. As a fellow New Yorker, do you prefer the Vegas heat or the New York City summer
It's
heat?
not even close. This is so much the lesser of two evils, and
Yeah.
it's a simple math equation. Back east, I feel like I can comfortably be outside maybe 4 months out of the year,
Mhm.
like October, November,
Mhm.
and then once we get past Christmas, a little too chilly.
Yeah. No,
Man-
not chilly. Freezing.
Yeah. All right. Fair.
We see under 30 degrees for about 8 weeks.
And then we get that April, May.
Yeah.
Maybe it stretches into June. Maybe it's 5 months.
Uh-huh.
But the other extremes in New York are oppressive. Here in Vegas, I think we have 2 months that you can't be outside. This is this period we're in right now.
Yeah.
The other 10 months out of the year, perfect.
Agreed.
Maybe there's like a week where it's too cold, like a week. But
Yeah.
the 2 years I've been here, there's really like a month, 6 weeks where it's like, all right, don't go outside.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And the thing that I like to tell people is if you're just standing in your backyard in New York City in July,
Mhm.
and not moving, just standing there, you're going to be sweating like you're playing a 5-on-5 full court basketball game at the YMCA.
July. How about like September, October stuff?
Yeah, with the humidity,
It's
right?
brutal.
Where here, if you're in your backyard, you'll just feel your skin is burning, but you're not
Yeah.
really like,
But if
you
you're
get-
out of the
you
sun,
get
you're
hot.
good.
yeah.
Yeah, your skin just progressively
Gets
just,
hotter.
Just gets so fucking hot that you start crying out of your
I think
arms.
110 is my kind of like litmus test. When it's north of 110, that's when it feels like someone put an oven on and you walk outside.
Agreed.
That's when I'm like, okay, that's too much. But we only get like, again, like a month, maybe 2,
Yeah.
where it's like that. So the other 10 months, we're in New York, back east, maybe we get 6 months max of like outdoor weather.
Yeah. And then you're not even factoring in that it's cloudy the majority of the time. too,
90% of the time.
and raining.
There is, I'm convinced that this is the best weather because there's extremes anywhere you go.
Right.
It's about what you tolerate and what you like. I think this is, to me, this is agreed the most with. Look how my body's responding.
Yeah,
in 2
nah,
years.
totally,
Like,
man. You look
it
great.
just it feels like I'm like this is my climate.
Yeah. I told you before we started recording that people that are going to see you that haven't seen you in years,
Good.
they're going to think you're either doing a lot of cocaine
Fuck the haters.
or you've been sick. They're like, yo, there's no way this guy's transformed his
Fuck
body.
the
And-
haters.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. It's
Hell
the fuck
yeah.
you body.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Let's get after it, man. All right, let's get into this episode. Based on the title, you guys should have an idea. NFL Future Awards. These are all the awards from MVP down to Coach of the Year. I have a list of the winners from last year. I have a couple of betting trends as well, right? Like, hey, man, if McCaffrey didn't win MVP last year, bro, probably not going to
It's
be.
never
not-
happening for a running back.
Yeah, it's not for anyone
And
else.
I'll be honest, of all the award markets, that's the one I have the strongest take on. Little tease for you.
Okay, I like it.
I
I
like
like
it.
it. Let's start off. Should we go? What order should we go? Should we go like?
Read past winners first.
Yeah, we'll read past
Yeah,
winners. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the winner
Mhm.
the year before for the award we're
Got you,
presenting,
got you.
sort of.
I
But I'm
get
saying
you.
like, should we start with Coach of the Year first? and like work our way
Yes,
to MVP?
yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
Make the
foundation
people
of the
watch if they want to
Yeah.
watch the big boys. Though, although there's really, I mean, any market you're going to find something. But if they want the big awards, make them wait to the end. 100%.
Now we're talking.
I love it.
Now we're talking. All right, let's start off with Coach of the Year, right? Last year, Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year. He's a 2-time winner. He also won it back in 2020. He had, I think, 4 different quarterbacks start for him.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely 3. And then Joe Flacco comes in and they end up making the playoffs. So he won it last year. Coach of the Year mostly goes to a first-year coach. That's a big trend. A coach that overachieves from the year before. On average, it's about 4 wins better.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, 3 of the last 5 winners of this award, including last year's winner, well, not last year because he had coached multiple years, but at the time, Kevin Stefanski was also a first-time coach. So 3 of the last 5 winners were first-year coaches. So it favors a guy that picks up a new gig and the team sort of overachieves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, Stefanski was the winner last year. The odds right now, Eberflus 9-1, Jim Harbaugh 10-1, as well as Raheem Morris. You got Matt LaFleur and Steichen at 14-1, as well as D'Amico Ryans. Jonathan Gannon 16-1. Your boy Robert Saleh at 18-1.
Not going to win it.
And then we got Mike McDonald and Brian Callahan at 18-1. I'm gonna throw it to you first, George. What are you looking at for Coach of the Year?
Well, I've been really interested to see what Gannon can do with the Cardinals. And I think that is a team that has the ability to shine in a division that's been dominated by the 49ers for a while. They get Kyler Murray in a year where it's like you need to prove yourself. And I really think that the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr. allows them to get like that young superstar connection type of headlines that allow, coaches to win this award. To follow along the trends, I do think that they can be 4 wins better from what they were last year. And yeah, I think it was a team that overachieved last year, and they're right there on the cusp, and I'm willing to take the bet on Kyler Murray because I do think that Kyler Murray has been overlooked, and he's probably one of the most overrated players in the current quarterback market right now. But there's a lot of upside potential with what he was able to do early in his career.
Ooh, so I was going to push back. I was making this motion, as you were saying, because I feel like he came into the league overrated, and I feel like now he's kind of underrated a little bit.
I didn't expect him to do what he did last year at the end of the season, that's for sure. I was saying he shouldn't even come back. Rest the ACL. See you next year.
Yeah, and also early on, dude, September, October, they were
Well,
They were
that was
like
the Joshua Dobbs experiment.
yeah, and they were a cover monster,
They
Yes.
really were.
and they were catching like
Dobbs
double.
was unbelievable.
Yeah, they were like double-digit dogs in almost every
Dobbs,
game.
Dobbs had a month where he was playing outside of his skull.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I don't know. I don't know about him being. I feel like now he might be underrated.
I
Cannon's
get
an
you,
interesting
but I
one.
mean, this again is for the coach, and I'm assuming
Okay.
that
Fair. I see what you're saying.
yeah,
Okay.
because it fits. You need the storylines to go in your favor, and I think both Kyler Murray doing extremely well, and then possibly having the offensive rookie of the year also bodes really well.
I kind of like that pick because also I feel like the Cardinals are getting a lot of like Tampa Bay vibes from last year.
Mm.
Cardinals have been a lot of people that I've been talking to around town, Jared. They're like the Cardinals could be a team to make the wild card.
I could see.
Sort of surprise.
I like
people.
Gannon a lot. I mean, I think the biggest positive for Gannon is look how bad the Eagles defense got last year after he left.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wow, he can really coach, huh? Well, the brains kind of left town, and Steichen too on the other side. Both of those guys left town, and you saw the Eagles take a big step back last year. So I think that's a really positive for Gannon. I think this market's narrative street. Like write the narrative last year, it wrote itself for Stefanski. Quarterback, everyone's hurt. You're bringing Flacco, and you still make the playoffs. Like so. This is the one market where I think the sharp number is not really relevant. I think it's about writing, like talking through the narrative that's going to be the right narrative. I mean, let's look at a couple of these guys. How about Dave Canales? What if the Panthers go to the playoffs?
Mhm.
I mean, you talk about a team that was so down last year. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's the kind of thing that if the Panthers make the playoffs, which I don't think it's 18-1 for them to make the playoffs. It's probably significantly shorter. Well, you're getting 18-1 for Canales. Like if the Panthers make the playoffs, Dave Canales is going to be a coach of the year candidate.
Yeah.
So it's like it's trying to find little connections in the market where it's like, wow, the Panthers are, I don't know what the number is. Maybe it's 5-1 to make the playoffs. Well, if that happens, Canales is probably coach of the year.
Well, I feel like I'm having deja vu about the Panthers because I think you were on the show when we were talking about Bryce Young, similar to, I think he was like 6-1 to win Rookie of the Year last year, or 5-1. And then the Panthers to make the playoffs was like a lesser number. And it was kind of the same logic we were applying. Like, yo, take them to, take him for Offensive Rookie of the Year as opposed to them to make the playoffs. It also reminds me of one of my like all-time really good calls was I was on the Jaguars the year that they won the division.
Right.
2 years ago. And I think the number was like plus 900 for them to win the division. And that was when the AFC was like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like, look at all these quarterbacks. And the logic was, why would you bet them at plus 400 to make the playoffs when the only possible path of them is to win the AFC South, bet them at plus 900, bam, they end up winning the division. So I kind of feel like the same logic could apply here.
They're plus 550 to make the playoffs. I just looked on DraftKings. So it's like, again, you 18-1 for a bet that if a plus 550 hits, the 18-1 feels very live if Carolina makes the playoffs.
100%.
And it's a massive difference in those two prices.
Is that your pick there?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
good.
18-1.
Why not?
Mexicanos.
I like it.
También.
I mean,
yeah.
I think this is, to me, exercises like this is how I start my process with getting my mind right for these. I haven't made any of these bets yet, but when you talk stuff out, you tend to find you almost like you're a rat in a maze. It's like you're making little turns and then you find the cheese.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense to me in my mind. Like a plus 550, if that hits, Dave Canales is probably going to be a coach of the year candidate.
Fits the criteria too. The team would clearly overachieve after having the number
100%.
one. Yeah. And
Nobody thinks Carolina's making the playoffs this
Right,
year.
right.
That
No
is
way.
so far off
Yeah.
the spectrum.
And also their division, let's be honest, like you're banking on Kirk Cousins if you're high on the Falcons. Tampa Bay is definitely going to regress because they lost their coordinator also that Baker had a career year with.
Yeah.
And then who's the other team? Your Saints.
Yeah.
I am not very high on the Saints this year.
Yeah.
That's right.
Not
We wanna
with
be.
Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's, dude, they could probably win, not probably, like, if they could get to 8 wins, maybe they
8
win the
wins
division.
wins that division yearly.
It could be.
Yeah.
Like, do I think that this is one of those bets that's like, you back up the Brinks truck? No. But when you're looking through these markets, there's so many freaking options. You've got to try to find things that are mispriced. Like in my mind, Dave Canales winning coach of the year and the Panthers making the playoffs are like, those two things are kind of on the same tier. One of them's plus 550, the other one's 18-1.
100%.
I like it. I'm applying some of that logic to my pick, and he's 20-1. And Dan Quinn,
Yeah. Same situation.
same situation.
What's Washington to make the playoffs or to win the division? Probably 10-1.
And you look at the history of that division, right? You haven't had
yeah.
a repeat winner since like 2001, I believe it is. Like
Cowboys when they made their run in the early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yeah. And look, man.
Oh, it was actually, no, sorry. Eagles with McNabb. That was the run. Eagles with McNabb was the early run.
yes.
They won like 3 to 4 in a row.
Yeah, but since then you just
Nope.
haven't had it.
It's been back and forth.
Yep.
And you get a new quarterback in there, so he's going to be an enigma in
Yeah.
Daniels. You don't know what to make of him. A lot of good reports coming out of camp. First year head coach, even though he's been a head coach before. In a division where, look, man, I do think Philly bounces back. They were fine until they all got banged up. A lot of chaos happening. We were talking about it last week with the Cowboys. Who's the top priority to re-sign and all that? I never like hearing that. I told you, I don't know if you heard this, but 30-1, McCarthy first coach fired. Listen, the schedule
beautiful.
I don't hate it.
last year I had the Patriots worst record in the league, and if it wasn't for Carolina being so abysmal,
Jones
that
is
was
just
definitely-
weird these days. I don't know. He there might be something there. Maybe he's got some dirt on Jones. I don't know. I thought he was going to get fired after that playoff game.
Yeah.
If you have dirt on
Well, that's
Jones,
also
you
that
get
also plays
assassinated.
into why I'm thinking about that bet, because if they do come out,
What's their first few weeks? Dallas.
let me pull that up right now.
I want to say they play the Giants. They always play the Giants early.
Yeah, and the Giants haven't beaten them since like I was in high school, I think it is.
Oh, I've got it right here.
All right, so they open
Cleveland.
up against Cleveland. That's the Tom Brady game.
Mhm.
Tom Brady is calling that game. So they open up at Cleveland,
Tom
home to the Saints, home to the Ravens. Then they got the New York Giants on the road. I believe that's
short week Thursday night.
Short week Thursday,
and then prime
at
time
Pittsburgh.
at Pittsburgh. So they're favored in 5 of the 6 games, and they're a slight dog at Cleveland. And then they have a bye, and then they play at San Francisco on Sunday night after the bye in week 8. I mean, I would say 5-2 is top case for those first 8 weeks, right? With the bye in there, so 7 games in 8 weeks.
But what if we flip that record?
What
We
if
go
it's
2-5,
Well,
George?
so you
And
think
we're
they're
in
losing to
play.
Cleveland week
Oh,
1?
yeah.
If they lose to Cleveland week 1, you're in play.
Yeah.
Because then it's like New Orleans at home then is a must win.
They bounce back probably comfortably too. Like
Yeah.
a 2-touchdown win.
Then they lose to Baltimore at
They
home.
lose to Baltimore. Short road against the Giants. Imagine the Giants beat them. It's like
That
the
would be
first.
That would be it.
That would
The
yeah.
first,
that would be
McCarthy
it.
doesn't
the
make it
first
home.
win for the Giants in like
That would be
14
it.
meetings. What's happening in Dallas?
Thursday night at the
Yeah.
Meadowlands.
Yeah.
Might be McCarthy. He might be sleeping with the fishes in,
Yeah.
that
Let's
game.
get it, bro. Now we're talking.
In the swamps of Jersey, Soprano style.
Now we're talking.
It was just
I know.
10
It just
days
it
to
just jumped
It
out.
was
to
Get a
me.
just
replacement.
a
And look, with Dan Quinn, right? I think it's a combination of the division, the first year coach, new quarterback also. Look, we saw last year. I felt like D'Amico Ryans should have won the award.
Yeah, that was honestly, I'm very surprised he didn't. Because if you tell me that the Texans win the division last year, I would have said the same thing, like, oh, on par with the Canales,
Yeah.
Carolina making the playoffs. He deserves it.
Yeah.
But I guess unprecedented scenario with Flacco is kind of what pushed it over the top there. And also Chubb. I mean, they lost everything. They lost their whole team.
They did.
The
Yeah.
fact that
And
their
also
defense was able to hold it together.
Yeah.
like
the
that,
multiple quarterbacks definitely played
Yeah.
into that too. All right, let's pivot over to let's go defensive rookie of the year. Last year, staying with the theme of the Texans, I guess. Will Anderson won it. Will Anderson won it after, I think, not Jalen Carter. Yeah, Jalen Carter was like minus 600 going into December. And then Will Anderson came along, and that coincided with the Texans ended up making the playoffs. And I'm looking at the markets here based on the odds for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Dallas Turner, Latu, Jared Verse, Kenyon Mitchell, Terrion Arnold, Byron Murphy, and my boy, my pick, because I don't think I'll ever get another chance in my life to bet on a white DB to be Rookie of the Year. Let's go narrative, Jared. We're talking narratives. Cooper DeJean, 16-1. Right? I think Philly's going to be playing ahead a lot of that, so maybe the other team is throwing a lot more. Right? I think he's going to be a starter for them because nowadays you need 3 to 4 corners out there.
Correct.
Cooper DeJean, hashtag narrative street, a white DB. It's never happened before. Who knows if he's like the not the gatekeeper, but like opens the floodgates of white guys being defensive backs.
Yeah,
He's gonna have to hold a lot on his
the
shoulders.
memes-
Was he
The
he was
memes
a
will be
first round
crazy.
pick, right?
I believe he was round 2.
Because I'll be honest, that is so like the trend is like 31 of the last 34 have been first round picks.
First round picks.
So it's just like it's just hard to come from the back, like because it's not quite as stat driven award, and it is, as you said, a little more narrative. There's there's more stats involved with this than, let's say, Coach of the Year. Coach
Right.
of the Year and Comeback Player of the Year, which has now been qualified a little bit, are like the narrative awards. Defensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year, unless you're a guy that has 20 sacks, like our friend in Cleveland, it's hard to overcome the fact that you're not a first round pick. It's hard. The precedent says no, but that would be wild if you won it.
And also, to your point, right? It's given to defensive ends in 2 of the last 3 years. The last linebacker to win it was Darius Leonard in 2018. And it's gone to, also, this is pretty interesting. The NFC has had it be Defensive Rookie of the Year in 4 of the last 5 years. So, and he's in the
I would
NFC.
say I would lean towards guys who rush the passer.
Right, sacks
I
is more,
I think that's kind of the default. And unless you have a year like Sauce Gardner had, most of the guys are guys that get after the rush.
yeah.
100%.
And it's also more, I would say, impactful, the sacks, than
100%.
because a corner might not just get thrown at.
You can exactly, and it's almost like this is why, to go completely off topic, when I bet baseball props, I don't like hitter props because you can pitch around guys.
Right.
Pitcher props, you're pitching no matter what.
Yeah, you got no choice.
You know, that's where corners can be just completely ignored. And it's like they're not even part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I tend to not go in that direction with these awards markets.
But yo, what about this? You're not throwing at the white DB? That's a narrative.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
you get
man. What is it about
like
this guy,
white
other
on
than the
rice?
fact that he's white? What is it about this guy that you like? There has to be something else.
I think it's the opportunity with him in Philly. Like, all
Okay.
jokes
I
aside,
agree with that.
I think he's going to be out on the field. I think Philly is going to bounce back. And
I like
based
Philly
on
a
their
lot this year.
offseason moves, we'll get to, I mean, anyone that's been listening to the show knows who my offensive player of the year is going to be. I think they're going to be playing with a lead. I think they're going to try to, rush the passer like they've been doing. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities for him to make plays. And and look, man, they spent the second round pick on him, for as funny as it is, because he's a white defensive back. That
I
we
hope
haven't
you're right,
had
man. I hope he crushes.
not even a defensive back, white cornerback.
Yes.
It's very
So
rare.
hashtag narrative is being written and driven right now, bro.
It's the opposite of what's happening with Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. right?
Yeah, legit the
pretty much.
opposite. This is a unicorn.
Yeah.
This guy is changing it forever. Who do you got?
I got Chop Robinson at
Love it.
16-1.
Okay.
He's a defensive end. He comes out of Penn State, started his career at Maryland, but whenever you have a defensive end that runs a 4.48 in the 40-yard dash, you kind of just got to like make sure that he's on your television every weekend. He's going to be playing for the Dolphins this next year. He's in a way replacing like that Christian Wilkins piece that they lost. But the way that I think of it is like you don't get rid of a piece like Christian Wilkins, and I know they were tight in salary cap, but you don't get rid of him unless you know you have another dog coming in to replace him. And he fits the trend. I mean, you had said last 2 out of 3 have been defensive ends. The last 4 out of the 5 have been defensive linemen, just in general.
Yeah.
So I think it fits the mold perfectly. And I think similar to what you were saying with the Eagles, the Dolphins are going to be up in a lot of games. And they got after it last year. Good weather for the most part. You know, you got to battle through monsoon season, but other than that, you know, I think the conditions are just perfect enough.
And I also think, to your point, I think he's going to have an opportunity to play because I don't think Jalen Phillips will be ready yet.
Nope.
'Cause dude
Yeah.
got hurt. It was the Black Friday game against the Jets. I remember driving back I went to Thanksgiving like deep in the Poconos. And I didn't want to stay there too long because I was like, yo, I'm only back in New York for a couple days. I'm not trying to spend another night here in the Poconos. So I was taking the bus back. So I watched the whole game on my phone. And I remember seeing him go down. And then also that video was going viral because they were doing the Hard Knocks, the in-season Hard Knocks. And he was just like, like, yo, why, bro? Why? He started crying and shit. You ever had a serious injury?
No. Very fortunate.
Very fortunate.
The
How about
worst
you?
thing that's ever happened to me was I slipped coming out of the shower one day in college and I knocked front tooth out.
Ooh, shit.
That was a rough couple years getting that thing fixed. Couple implants, root canals, but that's the worst thing that's ever happened to me physically.
That's pretty bad.
It was. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
rough, especially considering the career that I'm in.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It wasn't like I've never hurt anything playing a sport.
Good. Let's
thankfully.
keep it that way.
Yeah,
How about you?
I don't play any
Tore my
sports
ACL.
anymore. So
For
you're
your
good.
ACL? Let's go. Me too, bro.
Wow, ACL bros.
Let's go.
like
Yo,
Eskimo
Left
brothers.
also. Yo, we
It's
just
adorable.
became more
Man,
best
that's
friends.
adorable.
Jory also tore his ACL.
Let's go.
It's adorable.
We all got fake knees in here.
I love how
It is nice.
I love how we're giving thumbs up to each other that we
Just
went
like,
through a catastrophic.
We're on the
injury.
IR.
Yeah.
That's the one thing you guys have in common with Cameron Brink.
Yeah, legit. ACLs. Oh man, that sucked. I wish that on no one.
Damn. So is it cursed that I'm picking Chop Robinson? Is he gonna?
No. Why
No,
would you
no,
say
I
that?
think- last year, you know?
No,
like,
Chop's
shit,
great.
I think
I like
it's-
Weaver, the D coordinator, a lot. They hated Fangio in Miami. I think that defense is going to have a big year. I do.
A little resurgence.
Yeah. They did not like Fangio. Fangio took the Wink Martindale approach last year. He just, kind of crapped out there in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, defense is tough. You got to battle a lot of egos. Like I think the younger defensive coach model is kind of
Yeah, he didn't fit with McDaniel.
no.
I think McDaniel and Weaver are going to do much better together.
Did you give a pick?
I like Jared Verse. I think, this is this is a tough market to bet. I'm willing to wait in this market. This is a market I remember I got, oh man, who was it that one year? I remember I got Parsons very late. and he was still plus money very late in this. It was like blatantly obvious.
Was
he
that
gonna
Penn
win.
State bias?
No, it was just Cowboys. He was wrecking people that
Yeah,
rookie
yeah,
year.
yeah.
But versus a guy that, you know, you got a big hole there on the defensive line with the Rams
Mm-hmm.
after, you know,
Donald.
the best player maybe in the history
The
of the sport
generation,
in that
at least.
position
Yeah.
leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a new defensive coordinator, Shula, who was, I think he's the son or one of the Shula brethren, you know, in that family tree. He was the pass rush coordinator for a number of years. So very young team this year with the Rams. They drafted more players than they've ever drafted before in this little era of theirs with McVay. So I think it's going to be kind of like hey, everyone's going to get a shot. And it's going to be a meritocracy. Unlike before, where it was Aaron Donald eating up a lot of that playing time, rushing the passer, and there wasn't as much on the edge. Now, when they had Leonard Floyd and Donald, I mean, it was unstoppable.
And then when they had Von Miller for a little bit, yeah, that was
Crazy.
But
I
it's
love that
just,
year.
It's just it's a very new, like, I think pretty much like 100% of their rotation last year is pretty much going to be new in some capacity. So I think that breeds opportunity. And it's a good price, 11-1. He's not the favorite. I think the other guys up top, Turner, I like Latu a lot. That was my first defensive player taken pick in the NFL draft, and that one hit because Turner dropped a little bit. But I think Turner and Latu both have upside, but they're at the top of the market, so I'm not really in a hurry to bet either of those. I think all three of them have a good crack, depending on which has the most production, which one catches the scheme early.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive Rookie of the Year. This award has been given to quarterbacks in 2 of the last 3 seasons. And prior to that, it was one that if you liked running backs and receivers, this was the market to bet those guys, right? It was very similar, obviously, to Offensive Player of the Year. The NFC seems to be getting the winner of this award. 13 of the last 15 seasons, it's gone to a player in the NFC. It fits the narrative of my selection. The AFC, however, has won the last 2. Not has won the last 2. It's 2 of the last 4 winners have been in the AFC: Jamar Chase and Justin Herbert. My pick. I'm looking at opportunity. I'm looking at scheme. I'm looking at who else is available to catch. Ties into a team you were referencing before, and for me, it's plus 800 Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yep.
That's the guy.
This is
I think
lot.
he is. If I could bet targets, is there a target market we could bet?
I wish there was.
Because it's going to be 295 targets he's going to get. Because I don't know who else is on there. I know they got the tight end that did pretty well for them last year.
There's
but
nothing there.
There's nothing there. And this dude has been the number 1 wide receiver prospect probably for like 3 years now. He's been coveted
Probably
as-
since birth, considering his
yeah,
father.
Yeah. The lineage is amazing there.
Literally since the womb.
Yeah, for real. And I just think the opportunity there, especially if the Cardinals are gonna be a team that can make some noise, maybe be like a LA Rams, Tampa.
They're
going
going to be behind a lot, too.
Yeah, they're gonna be that too. And look, man, again, I think it's just the opportunity of what's around him and how NFL ready he is. I think him not being the favorite is kind of wild to me. I understand why it's Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, but I'm leaning to Marvin Harrison Jr. at plus 800 for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, no, I was 100% with you on that, and that's why those 2 picks I'm definitely having in a parlay, Gannon and Marvin Harrison in some capacity, because there's
The fact that
yeah.
it lets you parlay futures bets for people on the same team is remarkable. So correlated.
Dude, last year I bet TJ Watt, McCaffrey, and Joe Burrow for
Well, different teams is one thing.
right.
But for that, it's
Same
crazy.
team?
The coach
Would it
and the
lock?
receiver of the same team,
I haven't tried it.
you can bet and those futures parlays, those are the parlays that are fun. Like I showed you the one I did on the Euro with England and in the Phillies, teasing ahead to baseball. That I love futures parlays are fun.
Yeah.
I think that's a
It's
really
dope
fun way to
'cause, dude,
parlay.
You can pick 5 favorites and get like 130
Yes.
to 1, which
Yep.
is awesome.
And you
right?
could do 4 or 5 of them,
yeah.
and you can you hit one lotto ticket. That's
Yeah.
it.
And
You only need
also,
to hit one lotto ticket.
I feel like there was a graphic that got shown after the Celtics won. And I'm almost outside of the Rangers because I know you were holding a Rangers ticket. But I think like
Couple people had them.
it's been chalk city, though, as far as if you go
Yes.
back to like maybe 2 years ago, it's been like The Denver Nuggets were the favorites all
Chiefs.
year. Chiefs,
Celtics,
right? Maybe in hockey too.
The
Whoever
Panthers
won it.
were a high team. Nuggets won it the year prior.
So it's kind of been
UConn.
UConn.
The
back-to-back.
ultimate
Yeah.
chalk.
What about that, bro? Like 14-0 against the
Covers
numbers
every
spread?
game like that.
Crazy.
I don't think you will see that. We might live on this earth another 80 years, all of us. You'll never see that again. 70 years. Wow, I'm giving myself over 100.
No, we're
That's
getting 100. Bro.
70. What do you think? I'll
Without
live
a
to
doubt.
see 110.
Yeah,
The temperature here in Vegas this week. If I live to that age, then I'm doing okay.
Hell yeah.
it's gonna happen. I mean, science is.
I
gonna
want to
be
hit
that good.
100.
It's good.
Hitting 100
Science will
would be
be
dope.
that good.
100 and just slapping fucking submissions on people.
Yeah.
Darson at 97.
Bro, we're gonna have like different camos for our exoskeletons. It's gonna be sick.
Love it.
Jared, who do you got for Offensive Rookie of the Year? Are you in agreement?
I think Harrison makes sense. So I think the analysis I have in this market in terms of trying to find a misprice, like to me, Daniels and Williams should not be that far apart. I think that's where, like, obviously the anchor of this market is the quarterbacks. I think Marvin Harrison's the only non-quarterback I'm willing to bet at this stage because of what you said, volume, the V word. But let's be honest, this is an award that will most likely, like if one of these quarterbacks has a good year, I think Harrison's in trouble. So if you want to look at it from a quarterback perspective, I don't see why Daniels is that far behind Caleb. I just don't. Like I don't see Caleb as that significantly ahead of Jaden. We know nothing about both of these guys.
Yeah.
We know they're both very talented. We know their situations. Maybe Chicago's slightly better because their defense is better. But that means Washington's going to be behind, which means Daniel's going to have a chance to throw the ball a little bit more. So it's kind of like pick your poison. I think if I had to make a bet right now, two things. If I had to pick who I think is going to win this award right now, I think Harrison would be my pick. But if I had to make a bet that I think is going to increase in value between now and the start of the season, before we even play a game, I think that number moves down before we start the season.
Yeah,
No,
I agree. I think the hype is going to start to pick up too.
Especially if he has a good camp
Yeah.
and he comes in, he picks up the offense right away. They're expecting Caleb Williams to be the guy, number one pick right
Yeah.
away. Daniels, they are expecting that, but clearly the market's saying that there's a notch below. So what if Caleb's got a struggle city in the first couple weeks of camp and Daniels looks good? That number's going to pop right back up and you're going to see it much closer.
Yeah, and also I think with the Bears, there's a lot of momentum with them. They get Keenan Allen, Rome.
Yeah. Their situation's
Odunze.
better.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
too
why it's
plays
priced,
into
but I think
it.
it's too far. It's
Yeah.
it's priced too aggressively, I think, with Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on from this, I didn't mention that C.J. Stroud won the award last year. And listen, man, I might be alone on this one, but he was not Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. If a guy breaks 2 rookie records,
Agreed.
Puka,
it's Puka.
Yep.
It should have been Puka. Also,
but that just shows the quarterback bias in this market.
for sure.
And it also shows why our opinions are irrelevant. It's all about what the voters think. The voters really like the quarterbacks.
And
They
it ties
really do.
into what we were saying about a team overachieving, sort of with the coach of the year, right? A team overachieving. He was the reason why. I get it, but I just find it hard to believe that a guy sets 2 rookie records.
I agree with you.
yards and catches. Also, someone that gave him out at 35-1 around like week 12. So I am a little salty and
is
pissed
crazy.
off about it. But the fact that after week 18 he closed out like plus 200, I feel
Did you come back on Stroud?
no.
That's a lesson.
It is.
At 35-1.
Yeah.
And it's not a lesson that's like, oh, I'm such an idiot. It's a lesson, and the the McCaffrey, same exact lesson. The quarterbacks take up so much clout.
Yeah.
You have even record-breaking seasons is not enough to overcome the quarterback clout. It really is kind of like I don't think there's anything that these non-quarterbacks can do. It sucks. I agree with you. Nakua should have been. He had the best rookie season,
Right. And that's
but it's just not the way they view these awards.
I know, and it's weird, right? Because I feel like the award should be week 1 to 18, like consistently.
The award has mutated. It's mutated over time.
Elaborate.
It's just not. It's quarterbacks
Right.
first,
But
last,
do you,
and always.
Do you think because C.J. Stroud missed 2 games, he also got pulled from the Jet game around like halftime when he got hurt, and like Puka didn't miss no time.
You're right.
He was productive the whole.
You're
it
right.
was the same exact case I made for Cooper Kupp the year that he went crazy. Right. That ties into the conversation that we're having. Like, bro, he did the Triple Crown. Another Rams receiver. I just connected that. If he didn't win it then, start to finish, and that's what I was saying. Like his worst game, he had like 7 for 77.
It's impossible to overcome.
It's never going to happen.
And now Harrison can win it this year, but Caleb Williams and frankly all of the rookie quarterbacks, Daniels included, but all of the rookie quarterbacks have to really underperform.
I think they have to underperform.
And it
a
could
little
happen.
bit.
They could underperform. They could all suck.
Yeah, a little bit to what you were saying, though. If they underperform at the end of the season, that has to be when it happens.
And they don't make the playoffs.
CJ
Like winning the division, them winning the division was the worst. Like if they would have just barely snuck into the playoffs as like a 9-8 team, then Nakua probably win.
Yeah.
But because they destroyed their win total,
Yeah.
like doubled it, and won the division, it was like you just can't ignore that.
And also, there was something we were talking about NFL MVP, and it's something I'm not going to forget. I think moving forward, we'll do this around like Thanksgiving. If we have 5 candidates, Jared, we got to look at their schedule, how many primetime games they have, because Lamar Jackson won MVP because he had the Sunday night game against 2 other MVP candidates, and then he lit up the Dolphins, right? Yep. And then to your point, not only did they go over their total, it was the Saturday night game against the Colts. First play of the game, he throws like an 80-yard bomb to Nico Collins. I remember just
Wasn't it Christmas?
It was the week after.
Week after Christmas?
Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, well, there goes fucking Puka's bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
He just came out and just went fucking bananas.
The Lamar Jackson MVP
Puka
bet.
went 7 for 70 and still got overlooked.
It was one of those situations where I was never planning on betting him throughout the course of the season. And then it was like Moses parted the Red Seas, to your point, about the schedule they had and the situation and the narrative that was correlating to that schedule. If they win this game, and then they win this game, and then they win this game, all in prime time under the number 1 seed, he is the MVP, regardless of anything that happened prior in the season. So, like, you're right. Thanksgiving, maybe even Halloween.
Yeah.
You kind of just try to find the path for some of these narratives to then play out. And then it has to play out that way. But the market just screams at you sometimes. Like the Lamar bet was one of the better handicaps I've probably ever had in the NFL because it was so out of nowhere. I never expected him to win the MVP. And then it was just like, holy shit, if the Ravens win out, he's going to be the MVP.
Yeah.
And it was like 4 games. I was like, well, they could win 4 straight games. It was really the Niners game that really did it. I remember that was Christmas.
Yeah. Monday Night Football, the whole world is watching.
That was it. He won the award that night.
Yeah, no, totally, man. So if we have a scenario where it's Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and C.J. Stroud, but the Bengals have Chiefs on Monday Night Football, and then they got the Ravens on the road Sunday Night Football, if we think that the Bengals could win those games, we got to hammer the plus 1,200 on Joe Burrow. If that's
100%.
the case. But that's the scenario we got to be looking for because that really pissed me off, man. Because I thought we had it with McCaffrey. We had the omen with the guy just chilling here.
I mean, it's
in the
just
McCaffrey jersey. That would have
so
been
many
fucking
signs,
amazing,
signs.
bro. And also back around this time, this episode last year, we were talking about McCaffrey was like 160-1.
Yep.
Like, yo, if there's gonna be a non-quarterback to win it, it would probably be him. We presented the scenario because remember we didn't know Brock was gonna be ready at the time. It might have been Sam Darnold and shit. So
you have to constantly be reevaluated. Like I think that's the biggest thing that young like handicappers make is they make their opinion and they refuse to come off of that opinion as the other variables play out. The futures market, new information, new opinion. Like that is my vibe every single day. I am never tied to one bet to where I'm going to die on that hill because it's a market. It goes up, it goes down, things happen. You have to be willing to be flexible.
100%.
I love that you mentioned that because that's one of the things as I've gotten older in this space.
Yes, it comes with age.
Yeah, for sure. Because
maturity, and you're just like, you've been through it before,
Right.
and you're not going to overreact. You're just going to absorb and then counter.
And I have conversations with my friends where my preseason pick will be, let's just say the Chargers, because it has been the Chargers. And then like after week 6, I'm like, yo,
Fuck.
I don't think, now I'm on the Broncos.
Yeah.
And they're like, bro, what happened to the Chargers? Like, well, I've seen them for 6-7
Yeah.
games
Oh.
and they're bad. Like, why do I have to be married to my
Pro
opinion?
bettors tell me that it takes sometimes 2 weeks, 2 games for them to throw out their offseason priors and
believe
say the numbers that I brought into the season are wrong and I'm changing them.
For sure.
Like, why any handicapper is stubborn on a team? That's how I sense when I do a lot of shows, do a lot of second talk, a lot of people. When I start to get the stubbornness, like I refuse to change my opinion on a team despite the overwhelming evidence, that's when I'm like, I don't take you seriously.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to change on these opinions. This stuff changes. These teams
Yeah.
zig and zag every week.
And also with the first 2 weeks, it's like, bro, we're making all our analysis of
Yes.
what we saw
Unknowns.
9 months ago.
Yeah, unknowns,
It's too much unknown.
speculations. I think this looked good in camp, but they might change it.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks is the wild fucking West. You have to be willing to say, wow, I was wrong on that team, and then move on.
Mhm.
Now, you can't go too crazy, but sometimes after 2 weeks, you could tell.
Yeah. No,
you really
could.
can, especially after the first game's a dud, and then they don't bounce back the second week, at least effort-wise. That's when you're like, oh, I might have been wrong on this team.
Yeah, totally.
One team that you will be watching the first 2 weeks, the Chiefs, Xavier Worthy, 21-1.
I love it.
That is Patrick Mahomes', dare I say, number one option right now, with how trash the wide receivers were last year. I got him for my offensive rookie.
That's
of the year.
Jamar Chase vibes right there. There's one guy, there is one receiver that always will have a great year that comes from nowhere. I don't want to say Chase was that guy, but I think it was Nakua last year.
Oh, I mean,
The goal is to find Puka Nakua.
Right.
Because if you find Puka Nakua at 35-1 and he goes down to 2-1 by week 18, you're going to make money if you really want to.
100%.
there's a crazy trend about rookie wide receivers. I think of all the positions in the NFL, that's the one that has the least successful hit rate as far as them signing.
Doesn't
a
surprise me.
second contract. So when you're looking at these names, right, and you're looking at Keon Coleman, Odunze, Xavier Worthy, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr. It's like, bro,
Any one of them.
3 of these 5 are probably going to be like scratch
Not
starters on your
Literally.
fantasy team, and
Yeah.
teams are going to be regretting drafting them. So it's going to be important to keep an eye on.
How
All
about Lad McConkey?
Mm.
They just lost Mike Williams. There's openings there in L.A.
There is. The thing I'm worried about with the Chargers is I could see them being like super duper conservative with their offense.
I agree with
Ground
that.
and pound,
Yep.
based on Harbaugh going there too.
What a bum.
Yeah.
If they are, and you have Justin Herbert and you're conservative, then you have a problem.
Yeah. You're going to turn them into
You don't
Alex
have
Smith.
J.J. McCarthy, who's not attempting a pass in the second half against Penn State. You have
Right.
Justin frickin' Herbert. Throw the goddamn ball down the field.
quarter billion dollar quarterback. Maybe
Throw the
maybe
ball
you
down. Yeah, exactly.
maybe use it.
If they go
Maybe-
Big
maybe we don't
10,
hand off all the
triple
time.
I, wing T bullshit,
We're going to have a fullback this year.
get Harbaugh
We're having a fullback.
out of there. No, I'm just kidding. Keep him there. Why not? It's great TV.
Let's go to comeback player of the year. It's usually given to someone that either played like shit last year or suffered a season-ending, career-ending injury, and then they bounce back.
They've added some qualifiers now, which helps because this used to be the toughest one to pick.
Yeah, and also last year I fell for the Brian Robinson bet.
And a
or
lot
was
of
it the
people
year
and a
before?
lot of people fell for the DeMar Hamlin bet too.
Yeah. I thought that was like the lock of the NFL season.
Everybody fell
Yeah.
for that. That's what got them to change the qualifiers for
He
this
was
award.
like minus 400 this time last year.
You
Yeah.
cannot
was
have
crazy.
that situation happen again.
So players who have had a bad year but seem poised to bounce back, right? Derrick Henry missed most of 2021 with an injury. Then he came back and won it in 2022. A quarterback has won this award 3 straight seasons, starting with Joe Burrow in 2022. So Aaron Rodgers is the favorite. Joe Burrow follows him, then Kirk Cousins, then Anthony Richardson, Nick Chubb at 14-1. Then you have a couple more quarterbacks. You have Deshaun Watson, Daniel Jones, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, and Sam Darnold. George, where are you looking?
Well, I think if Nick Chubb has half the season that he was capable of, his last full season, he had 1,700 all-purpose yards and 13 touchdowns. I mean, this dude, when you think about Narrative Central, the interview that will be had with him at the end of the year. So talk about the injury you suffered at Georgia. So talk about the first injury with the Browns. Talk about the second injury with the Browns. The fact that he's even playing again is nuts. Adrian Peterson-like vibes with the way that he's been able to recover from something so catastrophic. So literally half of that year. I think if he just comes back, let's say 7 touchdowns, 900 all-purpose yards, I think he's a strong candidate for this position.
I like that. I like that analysis.
And that's
a
like
lot.
third down back status too. So he's not bearing the weight of everything.
Two other things. I don't
Yep.
trust Watson.
100%.
So I think
The run game's the only thing that's legit.
And I think I think their defense is going to keep him in a lot of games. So they're not
Yep.
going to be this like, oh, we need Watson to throw for 5,000 yards or else we're like to me they fit the vibe of a ground and pound team
Mhm.
because their defense. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and so they had two. I mean, you got Nick Chubb and then you got Deshaun Watson at 22-1. But if you're going to stay with
I don't
this
trust
Cardinals future parlay, Kyler Murray, comeback player of the year, 30-1.
Yeah. I'll throw another one into the mix for you. How about Daniel Jones?
That was my pick.
I like that a lot. Well, there's two reasons why I like non-Rodgers. The media hates fucking Rodgers.
Yeah.
They hate him.
Mhm.
And he's not going to win this award. Like I just don't think I don't care if he throws for 1 million yards. I just don't think he's going to win this award.
I know we've been talking a lot about narrative and we're kind of being silly around it, but also Daniel Jones kind of fits this too, right? Everyone's been dumping on the Giants
Yep.
for giving him that contract. Then they don't pay Saquon, who's like the face of the franchise. He leaves, goes to the rivals, and it's like, damn, you decided to pay this dude over that dude, and he's way better. Daniel Jones, now he has a weapon. Offensive line can't get any worse. They've made some improvements, or at least tried to make some improvements. And I think there's going to be a lot on his shoulders to bounce back. And he tore his ACL. I got to see it.
Dude, we watched
were
it.
together.
We witnessed it in
Yeah.
4K, bro.
And yo, you know what was crazy, bro? I was watching that, and it was like back-to-back plays. He kind of stumbles and like joking around. I was with my friends. I was like, this idiot better have gotten hurt because it's embarrassing. He can't even stay upright in the pocket. And then I see you at halftime with the misses, and you're like, yo, did you hear about Daniel Jones? I was like, no. He's like, he blew out his knee. I was like, oh, bite my words, huh? Because
100%.
that's exactly what happened. But I think the Giants, look, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think
Why not?
I think anytime I don't know if you do this, but I like to look at how many players would I want from the Giants on my team if I wasn't a Giants fan. I think the
answer is
like,
higher than you think.
I think it's two.
Lawrence,
Lawrence and Burns.
not Neighbors,
Too soon.
not the Devin Singletary.
Definitely not. I like Andrew Thomas. I like
Yeah.
him a lot.
Here's
but-
what I think about the Giants. I think I trust Shane a lot. I like how he does business. I only watched that one episode of Hard Knocks, and I can already tell that they do business well. They evaluate players the right way, and they look at the market the right way. And it's a very forward-thinking, very progressive way of looking at it. Does that mean they're going to have success on the field? That's not always guaranteed. But let's just stack up the variables here. I like Shane. I like Dable. I don't like the quarterback. I'm excited about the defense. I honestly am. And I think to see what a new scheme does with the players that they brought in, especially Burns, that's enticing to me. I think they might be a little if they get anything out of Jones, they're going to be spunkier than people think. And again, if they get anything out of Jones, that 20-1 number I think is going to come down.
Yeah, and also Thibodeau. I think year 3 now, Thibodeau. He's been talking a lot. Him and Lawrence Taylor had a funny exchange, and he was like, "Yo, I'm coming off an 11-sack season." He's like, "Would you play 4 games?" So he was trolling him there. And look, Okereke was a good signing last year. I'm a little worried about the DBs, but we'll wait and see. Does Deontay Banks improve? And I think the expectations are really low. So it kind of ties into the comeback player of the year.
I like Shane Bowen a lot. And I know we're not talking about the defense, but I think that Tennessee defense was very underrated for many years.
Oh, for sure.
And I think
But how
he's
much
the
of
right
that was
fit.
Vrabel, though?
I don't know how much of it was Vrabel. I don't think the running defense was Vrabel. I
Right.
think Vrabel might have been a little responsible for the overall scheme and like their toughness. But the way that they stopped the run, I mean, that was Bowen. Like that was what he was brought in for. So to me, that's the most intriguing. One of the most intriguing hires in the offseason was when Wink just quit. I didn't know that. When I watched it Hard Knocks, like he just walked out. I did not know that.
And it's crazy. What a
He just
complete.
stormed out of the building.
What was wild is how much praise he was getting and how much praise Dable were getting just 2 years ago.
It's a totally different defense
And
now.
then,
They go
yeah.
from blitz,
No, but I'm
your
saying how
ass off to
quickly-
now let's stop the run and let's be solid. It's like
Right.
a totally different mindset. And I'm curious how that mindset fits the culture of the Giants. I think it's going to fit it well. I don't think the Wink Martindale defense was a good scheme fit for what the culture of the Giants is, which is rush the passer, and we don't need to blitz their entire team. We use our secondary do that. Secondary is going to cover enough for us where we don't need to blitz 8 guys. We can blitz the front 4, and our secondary is going to cover their ass off.
Yeah, I was also hinting at NFL not for long, how quickly just we're building a statue for Daboll one year, and then last
I think
year
Daboll's a good coach.
of the year.
I do too.
I think he's a good coach. They like you look at that offensive line for the Giants. There's nobody.
But
nobody's
here's the
throwing
problem
behind
that
them.
I have. How have you had a bad offensive line for 15 years now?
It's terrible.
Like,
it is.
How is that still an issue for you
Because they
guys?
can't draft. They
Then-
missed
then
on a bunch
pay
of
money,
guys.
Then pay money.
They missed on a bunch of guys.
I know. Fucking evaluate better, bro. Like if you can't
Yeah.
if you
Big
can't
guys
draft,
that can block.
listen, if you can't draft that position, then go out and it was like New England. They couldn't hit on a wide receiver in the draft for shit.
Yeah.
But then they go and they find the Amendolas, the Wes Welkers, obviously Randy Moss exception. But like that's what they were good at doing. Pittsburgh Steelers, every wide receiver they ever draft, you're like, all right, he's gonna be on my fantasy team at some point,
it's
and he's gonna
coaching, though,
sign
too.
a big contract. And then with the Giants, like the Giants' offensive line has been bad even during Eli Manning tenure. Like after 2011, it's been a fucking nightmare. And it's like, if you can't draft and evaluate players that way, why don't you go and spend money in free agency? That's what the Bengals did. Remember when Burrow tore his ACL the very next year?
Yep.
When they came back, they went to the Super Bowl, and the Rams had like 7 sacks on him, and he was getting beat up. He got sacked 9 times against the Titans, and it was like the most sacked quarterback ever
And
to
they
win
still
a
went
playoff
to the
game.
freaking Super Bowl.
They still went to the Super Bowl, and then what they do the year after? Draft pick, offensive line, and they got 3 new offensive linemen.
What's your best case scenario for the Giants this year?
I think 6-11.
Wow.
Yeah,
Their win total 6.5. That's your best case?
yeah.
Damn.
And
That's
this isn't
harsh,
even
bro.
like
Yeah, I think-
I'm hedging to be cool.
You're tough on
and
them. Yeah.
yeah,
I think their
Rightfully
best.
so.
I think their best case scenario, frankly, is nine wins. I think they can be a 500 team. I do.
gonna need a lot from Neighbors. Gonna need Daniel Jones
Yeah,
to
he's
maybe
gotta
be
be
a
stud.
You need Daniel
comeback player
Jones.
of the
You
year.
need Daniel Jones to be not terrible, and you need their defense to adapt quickly to a new scheme. Those are the 2 things I think that need to happen. And now, granted, I think both of those things are long shots,
Right.
but I think that's the best case. I think you're being too harsh on them. I think 6 wins, that's not the ceiling for the Giants this year.
Schedule's pretty favorable too.
6 wins feels like the floor.
I'll take under.
Under 6?
No, I think 6. Like it's 6.5. You said is the
You
total,
said under
right?
6.5.
Yeah, under
Okay.
6.5. Yeah.
That's fair.
All right, let's go to Defensive Player of the Year. Last year, it was won by Myles Garrett. Jared, I think this is my favorite pastime to bet on Micah Parsons around this time to win Defensive Player of the Year. At some point, he'll get to like minus 150, minus 200, and then he'll like jam a finger or, like hurt his shoulder.
Yeah,
and then
he'll tweak his ankle and he won't be in every down.
Yeah, his play just completely falls apart. He's the favorite once again at plus 550, as well as TJ Watt. You have Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, and Max Crosby at 7-1. The preseason co-favorites to win the award in 2022-2023 were Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett. Donald has won this award 3 times in his career, tied for the most with my boy LT and JJ Watt, the brother of TJ Watt. My pick for this, I think, is going to get you a little horned up.
Please tell me it's are you going Raiders horned up?
No,
Ah.
your adopted favorite team,
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson.
I like that. I do think that he stepped up in a way last year that I didn't think was possible. Like, I really do think that he's an every down defensive end. But in order to win this award, I mean, you got to win the sack total. Like, that's what it comes down to. So, is it possible? Yes. I mean, this race out of all of them to me seems like the most close as far as odds.
I wouldn't go
are
long
concerned.
shot in this market at all. In fact, I'd be shocked if someone outside the top 5 won it.
Yeah.
That was what I had in my notes too.
I mean, you got-
Crosby's my pick. You bring
Same.
in Wilkins.
Mhm.
He's going to have 1 million sacks this year.
And also, do you think a lot of people felt like he should have won it last year?
I totally agree.
So do you think that carries over into this year?
Well, I think that motivate. You know what it does? It's the Florida Panthers effect. It's the Kansas City Royals in 2015 effect when they lose to the Giants in Game 7. Bumgarner goes nuts, and then they beat the Nets next year. Like when you're that close to the summit, and you
Now, I'm
lose,
not talking about the player. I'm saying voters, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
100%.
they're having
Yeah.
reconsideration.
But also the player also feels that pressure too, and he starts really fast, and then you get ahead in the market, and then you can come back on somebody else who maybe starts slow. I think with a market like this, where you nailed it, you said the sacks. You know who the 4 or 5 sack leaders are going to be. Like it's very rare that stat comes from someone very unheralded, because it's like there's really only like 5 elite guys in the league that are going to get double-digit sacks. Maybe there's one random one that'll pop in, but pretty much the 5 guys. Maybe 6 at the top of that list. You throw Hutchinson in there. Like I think that's like, to me, that top 6. You pick the winner right there.
Mm-hmm.
Crosby seems like the low-hanging fruit because they did the most in the offseason. But man, oh man, if that Niners defense is fierce again, Bosa's got a lot. They got a lot there.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you say, or we're talking about the sack totals. TJ Watt last year, Trey Hendrickson was second, and then Josh Allen, the DN from the
Who doesn't want to
Jaguars.
go by Josh Allen anymore? He changed his name today.
Yeah, what is it? Josh
Hines?
Allen. Josh Haynes.
Hines?
Josh Haynes.
he's probably like, yo, I get no love.
Yes.
Because one of the best quarterbacks in the league has.
He gave out a really nice like family message, which I respect and I love. But let's be honest, if the other Josh Allen doesn't exist, he probably doesn't change.
For
his name.
sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely.
Love you, Josh. If you're watching, you're not, but it's okay.
Honey, I'll take your last name.
Offensive player of the year,
Offensive player of the year.
AKA my
The
award,
non-quarterback.
AKA pat myself on the back to back
Take your victory lap, bro.
selection. I've been right. And also, 16-1 on the Jet 2 years ago. And then last year, Christian McCaffrey.
I know who you're taking in this market. I already know who you're taking.
I think every week since he signed with the Philadelphia Eagles, I've been posting about how I'm going to bet him.
I like that pick a
I
lot.
don't know if I've moved the market from 40-1 to now 25-1, but you're not going to tell me that I haven't. So I'm definitely going to take another victory lap on that. Look, all jokes aside, if you've been following the content, like I said, for the last 3-4 months, Saquon Barkley is my offensive player of the year. I think if you look at the situation that he's in now, never been in a better situation. I mean, you have Goddard, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. You got Jalen Hurts with the read option. You have an amazing offensive line, even though the Kelsey left. Offensive line is still far more superior than what the Giants had. He's never going to face more than 6 guys in a front because you have all these weapons. I also think what I've been hearing a lot of people's sort of narrative, that's been the word of this episode, they're saying, well, Jalen Hurts is going to steal a lot of his touchdowns. What if Saquon takes those now and they're like, hey, man, this Philly special, this tush-push shit, maybe that's why Jalen Hurts was hobbling come playoff time.
Yep.
And now we have this running back that we paid, still young, still a stud. I think the fact that he's 25, 30, 35-1, the injury risk plays into it. But it's the same thing with Christian McCaffrey last year. That's why that
Can
number
they
was
make
that.
it a whole season?
If they make it a whole season, I feel really good about it. And I think this dude could get over 1,600 scrimmage yards and get double-digit touchdowns on a team that is going to play some primetime games. They're going to have some big games for him to showcase himself. You know how I am when it comes to fantasy football. I want to take the best available player, best situation. I think Barkley might be it. I think Barkley has the McCaffrey year from last year. That's why I'm on Saquon to be offensive player of the year.
I mean,
I'm going for the three-peat,
yeah, bro.
I'm
grateful that I'm able to share this moment with you because I do have a long shot that I want to present a case for first, and then I'll go into what I think will be the lock. Travis Etienne at 75-1.
Oh, wow.
Okay, going into his 3rd year in the league, never has missed a game, started every single game, and on average, he gets 17.8 touches a game. It's that perfect recipe between he gets the rushing attempts and he gets the targets passing wise. I think year 3 with Trevor Lawrence, like, why not have a breakout year? The team underperformed since they didn't make the playoffs. Ever since you made that fucking thumbnail last year. The Jaguars suck.
I did, yeah. I put the
You
heads on.
ruined it.
They were 8-3, and I was like, "Yo, how come no one's talking about the Jaguars?" And
Oh,
the Niners came in
man.
there, beat them by 4 touchdowns.
I remember
really
that
just-
Niners game. I remember I bet the Niners in that game. I was
Fucking
like, yeah, they
Jaguars.
should not be favored by less than a field goal against Jacksonville.
Yeah, Nick also put them as the thumbnail, so that also ties into it too.
Yeah, no, it's perfect because now I'm here to reverse the curse. So that's my long shot. That's 75-1, but I really do think that similar to McCaffrey last year, that number can change in a heartbeat come those first 2 weeks if he does boom. But then my more reasonable lock, the one that I am going to put in is Jamar Chase at 12-1.
I like that.
fucking like that
I mean, the one stat that I put in for Jamar Chase was games without Joe Burrow, 7 of them, only 31 catches, 409 yards, and 1 touchdown. I think that combination is the best that the NFL has ever seen going from college to the NFL. I don't think we're ever going to see something like this again. I think that Jamar Chase will be in contention for, dare I say, NFL records with the way that they're going to be finding him.
The reason why I love
he's
that
always
is
fucking up.
because it's the same thing we did with the earlier stuff with the coach of the year. Burrow's 9-1 to win MVP. If Burrow wins MVP at 9-1, what has to happen? Who's he
Jamar
throwing
Chase.
to?
Yeah,
And that's a 12-1. So you're getting an extra $3 of value there for what I would conceive to be very correlated bets.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Not a ton of gap, not like the Canales one.
For
but
sure.
It you feel safer. You're like, wow, if I'm right on this, that number moves quick.
Mhm.
Whereas the Burrow number won't move as quick because it's already at 9-1. Whereas
For
to me,
sure.
9-1 feels like a good number for Chase. I'll give you guys a long shot, and you're gonna love this handicap. This is Narrative Street.
let's go.
And if this hits, oh boy, I'm coming back next year and take a victory lap. So the one thing I always notice when what's the most diva position in the NFL?
Wide receiver.
First year, new system. Everything's good. Honeymoon, right? Stephon Diggs' best year with Buffalo was his first year. He led the league in receiving yards and receptions that year. First year with a new team. Nice, beautiful culture down there in Houston. Fast track, indoor stadium, 60-1. On Stephon Diggs, who could lead the league in receiving this year easily. Not easily, but could lead the league
For
in
sure.
receiving this year. And then you get the whole, well, Stroud was the O'Roy last year. He's got some MVP vibes this year. I mean, what does he do to win MVP? Stroud, probably 850. And I'm getting 60-1 on his number one guy that they just paid a bunch of money to, who's going to come in and just be the man. Just like he did in Buffalo. That first year in Buffalo, that was the year they lost to the Chiefs on the final second crazy kickoff play. That was the year for Buffalo.
Mhm.
And then it all went downhill from there. But fresh start, honeymoon, I think Diggs has a big year.
I fuck with that.
Big
Yeah,
year.
that's a good one.
I do like that one.
Damn, I think I'm just not a Stephon Diggs fan.
Neither am I after what we
That's
saw.
like- that's
the
why it would
recency
be tough
bias
to-
is why that number's so low, too. The recency bias
Yep.
why you're getting 60.
You are 100% correct.
But what about? I also think 60-1 is because Nico Collins is a good
Oh, yeah,
receiver.
100%.
Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz is still there.
I would expect if the Texans gave him all that money, I think they want him to be the leader of that group. Like, I think they're like, we want you to be the dad of this group.
I
A lot
don't
of
know
young
how
guys.
much I like that one.
I don't like that either, but I think, to me, when you bring in a guy and pay a guy like Diggs, you're not bringing him in just to kind of be like a number
Right.
two.
Yeah.
He's the alpha in that room, I think. We'll see.
Mhm.
I think he's the alpha in that room. But I just saw that price, and I'm like, man, if he goes off for like 10 for 200 in the first week, yeah, that number's going to come down. I think they have a really easy game week 1, too. I think they play a really cupcake week 1. No, actually at Indy. But their first 4 games, they're favored in all 4. And then they play Buffalo at home in week 5. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. If he goes crazy,
in that game. Yeah.
damn,
That
that's a
number's
good
gonna
one,
shoot
man.
down.
60-1.
I fuck
That's a
with
good
that.
price. I'm definitely going to put a nice little nugget on that before we get started.
Before this episode releases, because
Yes.
Nick's changing the line out here. They're watching.
No, we'll find good numbers out.
Yeah,
We'll find
good ones. So that was your long shot. You said you had like a more.
Well, I think you're spot on with Saquon because the whole thing. This is why people, when they give you the backdoor information like they're giving you with this, Hard Knocks, watch it. I've learned so much in one episode. Like nobody. The market for Saquon was not good, and the Eagles overpaid.
Yeah.
Why else are you going to overpay for a guy? Give him the ball. So that's kind of where my head's at coming into the year. Like, I think Saquon's going to be a workhorse. They're going to get every ounce out of him that they can as soon as they can. So I think this will be a big year for him. And I like the Chase thing too because of the kind of differences in the price
For
with
sure.
Burrow. I think all three of those guys are kind of right in the vicinity, or both of those guys are kind of right in the vicinity. I'd be shocked if one of them didn't win. I would. I think those two would be my top two guys.
Yeah, and also it's a 3-year deal for Saquon. He's 27. Like, run him to the ground, bro.
He won't be there 3 years.
No, he won't. No running back is when they sign that second contract. So yeah, why not?
But I'm happy he
Feed
got
him
the
and-
second deal.
100%. Listen, most hypocritical I am of any position in professional sports is the running back. Happy for Saquon. Happy the Giants didn't give him that money.
Right.
Agreed.
I think both could be true. Or at least I feel better about it when
I think the Giants are better off, but it was mutually beneficial. I think Saquon's in
sure.
a better situation.
without a doubt.
Eagles are going to be ahead more. They're going to run the ball. The
Yep.
Giants needed a reboot, and they got it.
The second best running back in that situation, Derrick Henry, 50-1 before we
With
get off the
Baltimore,
set.
right?
Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a sexy one too.
Yeah.
The only difference is
That's-
he's not even the best runner on his own team. That scares me.
Yeah.
But if he gets an opportunity, I don't know what the contract was. Was it 1 year? I think.
I believe so.
If he gets the volume, I like that a lot. But I just don't know if he's going to get the volume. Because I think Baltimore has a lot of mouth to feed
2
running the ball.
Yeah. 2-year deal.
16 mil.
Yeah, that's a big chunk of change for a running back these days. They
Well,
might give him
They
some
wanted
money.
stability, and they're going to for
They've
sure.
had some issues there the last few years.
100%.
Dobbins really killed them.
Yep.
They really loved Dobbins, and he just completely fell off the map.
When I post my Saquon Barkley ticket, it's gonna have to wait until the outcome of the Euro Cup Copa America. It's gonna be disgusting.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be gross. The amount of money I'm gonna put on it. Because also, I'm telling you, bro.
I'm gonna tell you on that. one.
as a Giants fan, it's like it's poetic for him to go
Yeah.
to the ops and just go fucking.
I
bananas.
think the Eagles are gonna have a big year.
yeah,
I
for
really
sure.
do.
for sure.
You
All
see
right,
it? Yeah.
the main event, NFL MVP, aka the quarterback award. 9 straight years. Sorry, since 2012. That's the last time a non-QB won it, and it was Adrian Peterson. The list reads: Pat Mahomes at plus 500, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen at plus 900, CJ Stroud at plus 850. So he's second favorite. Then you got Lamar Jackson 12-1, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, and Dak Prescott at 14-1, Brock Purdy 16-1, as well as Jalen Hurts. So I'm going to give you two.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago when Tyreek Hill left, I called it the y'all must have forgot Pat Mahomes 10-1. That was my pick. And he goes out and he wins it. I think the same narrative, again, using that word, can apply to Josh Allen.
Yep.
We lose Stephon Diggs. I think it was good for both parties, right? Like, I don't think it hurts the Bills as much as people are making it seem. And I think it definitely benefits the Texans. But you got the two tight ends there. You have James Cook in the backfield. Keon Coleman, bro, if you want to talk about a future megastar, if he could perform on the field, this guy is like going to host SNL one day. This guy has mainstream appeal from his draft day interviews to when he arrived to Buffalo, like all the funny shit that
He'll
he
have
does.
opportunities too.
Yeah, and
they
he's-
lost their whole receiving group.
Yeah,
Davis and Diggs.
256 targets from last year
Yep.
are missing. Now, if Josh Allen, now I think people are a little off the Bills because they've also been let down. We were let down with them, Dear Buffalo. We shot that video. They won 6 straight. They won the division. We're holding 50-1 tickets, and then they lose to the Chiefs at home, right? It was like poetic and perfect for them, and then they don't get it done. So Josh Allen at 9-1, I think it could be the y'all must have forgot or the FU Josh Allen year.
Yep.
If they treat the regular season like they do in the playoffs with him, when they're like, yo, bro, you're going to run it also. He could have like 30 touchdowns in the air and 15 on the ground. Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
So 9-1 Josh Allen. If I had to make like my quote unquote lock pick in a chalk play, it would be Josh Allen for that reason.
I'm 100% with you. I don't think, though, it's going to be because they let him loose. I think it'll be the first year where, since he's not let loose, he doesn't blow up the interception category that completely negates him from ever coming close to winning this award.
Oh, my
And
God.
I
That
think,
was so frustrating last year. I think it was like 7 straight games he had to pick.
no, you just knew it was coming at some point in time where Josh Allen was going to Josh Allen. And I don't think that bodes well for winning that award. But those final 8 weeks of the season where they had a legitimate, gameplay change in which they started running the ball more with James Cook, that team at the end of last season was exactly what you wanted to see from Josh Allen his entire career. I'm with you on that. Three come from behind victories in the final 6 weeks, and notable ones on the road with the Chiefs, on the road at the Chargers, and then on the road in Miami. So meaningful games. I think, he's coming off of the Madden cover year. It plays really well. But it can literally be any quarterback that plays well in the last 5 weeks. I think we talked about this earlier. So there is a lot of good value. I mean, Brock Purdy at 16-1 last year came down to the damn wire.
I can't pick Brock.
I can't either, but it's so bad that that he is going to be plus 600 when the season ends if they're a 12-win team.
I think Brock's priced right because of the rest of that team. Here's what I think is mispriced in this market. Make this make sense. Let's talk this through. Ready? The Detroit Lions right now are the favorite to be the last undefeated team. They're the third favorite, just behind the Eagles, to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. Yet Jared Goff is behind guys like Herbert, Tua, Dak, Richardson, Hurts, Purdy to be MVP. Make that make sense to me. If the Lions are the number 1 seed in the NFC, which they're the third favorite to do so, why is Jared Goff 30-1 to be MVP?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. Amon-Ra St. Brown, definitely one of the better targets in the league.
If it's a quarterback award.
Laporta, too, tight end.
If it's a quarterback award and the Detroit Lions are basically among the favorites, one of the favorites in the NFC, I feel like Jared Goff should be among the favorites to win MVP. Just like Brock is. Brock's the 7th guy on my board, tied with Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love. Why is Jared Goff so far behind those guys, but the team success is still pretty much relative the same in terms of the win total and how they're picked to finish? There's some kind of bias against Jared Goff that I don't know. If he looks like Ryan Gosling, people don't like his goof. I don't know. But he's too far down on the list considering how good the Lions are supposed to be this year.
Well, the narrative is run the damn ball. And I think when you have your entire organization, getting behind, we are going to be dominant in the run game. We're going to stop the run game, and we're going to run the ball well. That's literally what Hard Knocks was about last year.
They kept Ben Johnson, though. That's why I'm very bullish on Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Because Ben Johnson's still in town.
Mm-hmm.
If Ben Johnson's in town, I'm on the Jared Goff train. If he's not, then that's where I start to go off the rails a little bit. But I think all of your points are very valid. If Josh Allen has a big year, he's probably going to win. If Joe Burrow has a big year, he's probably going to win. Right now in July, I'm trying to find the bet that's mispriced. I'm trying to find the 30, 40, 50-1 that's going to be 20-1, 10-1 by the time camp starts or by the time we get to week 5 and the Lions are 5-0. And I'm pretty sure they've got a very their first here. This is why I love Goff. Their first 4 games, Rams on Sunday night. I mean, talk about the Goff Stafford narrative. Right out of the gate, if they win that game, they're a 3-point favorite on the road to do so. That number goes down big time. He just beat the team he was traded for, or the trade. Then their next 3 games, 6-point favorite at home to Tampa, 4-point favorite at Arizona, 6-point favorite at home on Monday night to Seattle. If they're 4-0 heading into the bye,
and he has 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions,
and he beat his former team, he could be one of the favorites by then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And right now he's 30-1.
I like
that price makes no sense to me.
And the weapons are dope, right? Laporta, St. Brown, Williams, the running backs.
And we don't know what Jameson Williams is yet.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be.
He's a degenerate. That's one thing we do know.
Yeah, we do
about
know
him.
that, but we don't know how good he can be on the
Yeah.
field yet.
Dude, tag
that
Jameson
price
in that
makes,
clip.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey,
No.
Jared Goff is 30-1.
That price makes no fucking sense to me. Yeah, right.
Man, this was.
He would like the message.
Yeah, I think
He's
so.
like, we'll keep it on the DL.
Also, like, he might not like to be seen around that anymore
Very
after he
true.
got
Very
suspended for 6 games.
One of us.
Well, there you have it. NFL awards. These are our official picks. Things that we're looking to bet. Things that we're looking to do. Let's see if we could three-peat this Offensive Player of the Year. Let's see if we could have some long shots hit. Let's
Yep.
see if we could cook up some parlays. Right? We drive over to Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
Know
Do a
some
little
people
Hoover
that
Dam trip.
know some people. Yeah, the Hoover Dam. Go over there. Pull over to the side. Exit 2.
I call it Money Dam.
Money Dam.
Money Dam. Yeah, bro. Every time I'm leaving there, I'm like, I just wait, bro.
Let's go. Bro.
Yup.
Let's go.
The access road. It's just like a random road in the middle of nowhere, and all of the degenerates from Nevada, including me, have pulled off that access road. I forget
Why?
what it's called. It has a name. Like, it really does. The exit does have a name.
Bro, one of the coolest things.
Wabash or something.
Right
Wash
before-
something.
Right before the Euro Cup, I went and made my trip.
Yeah.
And
The Mecca.
there was another car there,
I've seen that.
and
It's the best.
we're both on our phones, and then we
The
just
best.
make eye contact and
Yeah.
we go.
Yep.
It's like we knew.
Fun fact: when I was in New York and it wasn't legalized in New York yet, I would
Do the
drive across
Jersey
the
route.
bridge.
Yeah.
I drive across the GW bridge, and that time you got to pay a tax.
Yeah.
$15.
Yeah.
Well, you better win your goddamn bets.
Better beware. You better have a good read.
You better have a good bet. You better have a good bet for that.
Your handicap better be fucking good.
You're
for you
paying
to
a
make that
VIG.
trip.
You're adding 15 cents to the VIG every time.
Yeah, you ain't kidding, bro. What we had to go through. Jared, this was fun, man. Thanks
Yeah,
for coming
man.
on the show. As
Awesome times. You
always.
guys are the best.
Let the people know what you're working on and where they can find you.
Yeah, it's every week, Fox Sports Radio, Saturday mornings. Regularly appearances on VSiN, which is a Vegas, stats and information network, and it basically keeps me young. It just keeps me into the markets all the time. So check out my Twitter at Jared Lee Smith or X. I'll post all the times I'm on the air, and yeah, a lot of good content coming out. This is the time of year where take a little breather, but it's like an egg, and it's starting to hatch.
Yep.
It's starting to come through the little shell there and poke through, and we're ready to roll, baby.
How about you, George?
At Mr. George Carmona is where you could find me. Instagram. I'm gonna start tweeting more. I got to get on this X wave.
Lot of opportunity.
Yeah. No, I've seen it. Especially in the gambling space. It's where we all come to
Gambling
conjugate.
Twitter.
Yes. So yeah, that's where you're gonna find me. And Nick, take us out.
All things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum. At Nick Day is 10 as you can find me. And piggybacking off what Jared said, last episode for the summer. We will catch you guys with the NFL preview show, doing something I've never done since I started Veterans Minimum in 2015, taking a break. Feel like it's earned, deserved, and we're out. And we'll see you guys in a couple months.
Or never.
I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course, be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be killed.